This is my first time making a game, so it's also the first time using a game engine. In this case it's Construct 3. In this video I'll explain how I created the movement for my little 2D platformer demo. Little background. You play as this character, she doesn't have a name yet, and play through the levels that take place in her dreams. So my main goal is to make a fun movement system. The character should be able to run, jump, wall jump, and do an attack. The attack is pretty interesting as it will give you a quick burst of speed. The movement is created by using platform behavior. You can play with these settings like max running speed, deceleration, and jump strength. These are my settings, a bit of a slow startup, but a fairly high speed and a big jump. In the events, where you can use the visual coding of Construct, you can set up the controls. I use the controller as an input, but you can also use a keyboard or both even. When you hold the stick left, the character will move left. When you hold the stick right, the character moves right. The A button is used for the jump. First, the run button. When the X button held down, the current speed is set to 250, plus the new speed, which is 200, so it will be totaled to 450. The acceleration is increased as well. When the button is released, the values will be set to the original values, so 250. Every good platformer needs a wall jump. The game checks if there's a wall next to the player. If so, and the player is falling, and the player is holding sticks towards the wall, the character will enter a wall slide. The falling speed is decreased to slow the descent. When the player presses the jump button, they will jump away from the wall. The vector Y value will force the character to move upward. I'm using a variable jump strength of 500. The max speed gives the character a bit of a speed boost. The vector X value is used to get them off the wall with horizontal movement. This is set up with the vector on the left and right sticks. This will make sure that the character can reach the opposite wall and not climb the same wall forever. It waits a bit and resets the max speed to the old speed. When hitting the ground, the fall speed is reset as well. With the run attack, the player has to be moving. When the right shoulder trigger is pressed, the run attack is activated. It will play an animation and create a hitbox. This hitbox can be interacted with enemies. Just like the run button, the maximum speed, the acceleration and deceleration are increased in value to give a speed boost. After half a second, the values are reset. The run group deactivation is to prevent the speed value to increase even further when held, so I can control the run attack speed better. Here are a few things to prevent the player from doing things that are supposed to happen. This part makes sure the player is on the ground, as the run attack cannot be used in the air. Here, the animation will be set to the running animation and make sure it resets speed values to the original. I had a weird issue where the max speed would be stuck when the X button was held during the attack. Finally, it's not very necessary, but the Coyote Jump is to make jumping a bit easier. When the player reaches a cliff, they have a little bit more time to jump, making the game a bit more fluid to play. Here, the floor time will have a value based on the time the player stands on the floor. When the player is in the air, but the floor time is still higher than the time spent on the air, the grace time being the time allowed to still jump, the player can still jump in the air. If the time spent in the air is larger than the one on the floor, the player will fall. The vector Ys are used because the jump command can be used in the air, which is a bit of a weird quirk, but this fixes the problem. I've done more for this demo, like animation, enemies, level design and a dialogue system, but this is what I wanted to show for now. Hope you enjoyed.